I listened to a talk once. Was I in the prison service? Yeah, I was in the prison service, and we went up to listen to Mark Gilman. Mark was the recovery lead for the
Yeah,
National.
I know Mark well.
Time. And he said something that I've never heard repeated, but I really liked it at the time. And because it's Mark, you can probably check it out with him. But he said he used two cities as benchmarks. He used Manchester and Liverpool, and he said in Manchester they went with the methadone approach. And the way is funny. He's funny the way he talks. I love the way he talks. And he said something like, they went with a bucket of green liquid in Manchester, and the bucket of green liquid got us a 21% reduction in crime, and it only cost about £1,000 a year or something like that. And he talked about the benefits initially of methadone. And then he talked about Liverpool, and he said Liverpool was completely different. Liverpool was, probably still is, one of the places with the highest concentration of NA and AA meetings going. And he said the problem with Liverpool was they didn't want the bucket of green liquid. They wanted the kind of government off their backs, the state off their backs. They wanted to get better. And he said, funnily enough, the flip side of Manchester was people stayed in addiction. They stayed in kind of state-sponsored addiction. And it didn't get rid of any of the intergenerational issues of mum and dad or significant other being on methadone. And so addiction remained. Whereas in Liverpool, the desire to get off the drug meant that, mum and dad were clean, to use that stigmatizing phrase sometimes, that they got off the drugs. And the effect was that while, let me remember what he said, while methadone use didn't protect the next generation because addiction remained in the family, what recovery and what sobriety brought to the next generation was almost like a firewall. So people still use drugs, they still experimented. Some of those people still got addicted. But the fact that mum and dad were in recovery, to some degree, acted as a firewall, a protective factor for the children. And so while some of those might have, been caught up in that perfect storm of addiction, they had an example that broke the intergenerational link of addiction. And it was fascinating to hear him talk about it, but it's not been something that kind of gained momentum or became a significant study in the public domain. I never really heard the NTA talk about it,